Yeah, I think, it's a frustrated group. I thought there was some long passages of play that we did a good job. Had opportunities to score goals. An unfortunate sort of ending to a game that I don't think none of us in the locker room believe that we should have lost. I think Cincinnati is a great test for us. It's a good team. It's well coached. It's got a lot of good individual players as well. So it was a really good test for us tonight, and, disappointed with the result, but I think there'll be a lot of learning lessons that we take out of it, and it'll make us, bigger and, I guess better and stronger, and more robust to handle games like this.
BJ, you kind of alluded to just some of the chances you created. It felt like you guys did really well in the counter press and were kind of able to maintain pressure a lot. But maybe the final ball sometimes was a little off. Do you think that was, I guess, what do you think that came down to? Was it more just missed passes, or did you feel like Cincinnati did a good job kind of shutting those down?
Yeah, I thought we did a really good job sustaining attacks. We had passages of play that we were able to pin them into their half, get everybody into the attacking half of the field. I think a little bit is they're a difficult team to defend. They obviously have three center backs, for a large majority of the time. So there's congestion in the penalty box. I thought the goalkeeper made some good saves tonight. In addition, I think there's some decision-making components as well that we need to get a little bit better on, whether it's making a final pass or setting your teammate up who might be in a better position before shooting, or playing the ball across the face of the goal earlier. So I think there's a lot of we can be better with decision-making in the positions that we got into.
And then the penalty kick at the end. What did you see on that? And did you get a chance to kind of get an explanation on what happened?
So I've not gotten an explanation. I haven't seen anything but sort of our tactical feed. I think the call on the field is a penalty, so it's going to take a lot to have to be clear and obvious to overturn it. Again, I think it's a bit more on like the law, which is like what's a natural position for an arm or a hand when you're backpedaling and trying to jump and you're defending. Like you can't have your arms at your side and in an extremely unathletic thing. So I haven't seen a good picture of it, but the call on the field stands, and it probably takes a lot to overturn it.
BJ, with the late penalty, with a game that seemed pretty even coming down to and being decided on a penalty goal and stoppage time, is there any temptation to kind of look at that as a crucial moment? Is it a challenge to have to be able to focus on what came before and maybe what you could have done to get the result before the penalty kick?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, as a group, we talked about the game. When two good teams go against each other, it's going to come down to moments. And it was who's going to capitalize on the moments. I think they had some, we had some. And, at the end, they get a penalty and they capitalize on it. And that's an area that I think we can improve on, is when we have moments in the game, they're going to be limited when two good teams play. You have to make the most of your chances.
And with Josh Bauer, his second goal tonight, I guess, with his offensive development, what have you seen from this season? I guess how much of what you've seen is maybe improvements that he's made in his game, and how much of it is maybe things that he's always been able to do, but maybe has more confidence or freedom to be able to do now?
Yeah, I think Josh has worked tremendously hard coming into preseason and working, both as a center back and a fullback. He's got an opportunity to play, and has made the most of it. It's another guy who I think takes information in really well and applies it. And it's a pure the goal comes off of a pure mentality and and effort. To make a second wave in the attack and be a fullback that gets forward. And unfortunately, there's the ball, and he seizes that moment. So for me, it's a lot of credit to the, I would say, the development of Josh. And he's been driving his own development.
BJ, you've had 4 penalties this season, and you've only converted one. What's the problem there?
I mean, it's just we have to be better at it. I don't have there's not an exact science to it. It's something that we're going to have to obviously look at, evaluate internally, and try to, from top to bottom, from how we approach the penalties and sort of, everything. But yeah, we have to be better. You can't be 1 for 4.
And you always talk about the way the team responds to certain moments. How did you feel like the group responded after the penalty and that clear chance that was kind of missed, or the keeper really made actually a really good save? That's how I think about it. But how do you feel like the group responded to that? Because things kind of slowed down from both ends. So what was how did you feel about that reaction from the group?
Yeah, I was proud of the response of the of the group, and even I would rewind further. Kind of giving up a set piece goal. I was unhappy with how we conceded that set piece goal. Right, a couple minutes before halftime, and then the way we came out in the second half. That was the first great response by the team. Then we obviously hit a little bit of adversity with a missed penalty. We have a set piece right away. We respond almost to a next play mentality. And I think at that point, the game kind of settles down, right? That's the first, 10, 15 minutes of the game, the second half. And then it kind of, I think, settles in. But I thought there was still another goal out there for us to get.
BJ, I thought the game was spectacular. One of the best games I've seen this season in the MLS, which is nice. Now, when you look at both games, the previous game and this one, when Jasper was going to come in last game and he had the stomach problem, and then now you decide to actually bring him in like you were going to do in the last game, it's easy to second guess the coach and whatever he thought about it, but anything in there in between why he started instead of perhaps Brookman in this game?
Oh, Yazbek?
Yeah.
No, I just think it's, I think there's a competition in the group, and I think there's a lot of, tactical sort of implications that go into these things. And I think we have, I talked to Gaston, talked to Patrick, talked to Eddie, we have confidence in all of these guys, and they each have a different little profile that I think we can unlock. And I thought Gaston came into the game and made an immediate impact for us. And again, I think there's a lot of good I don't want the result, which we're disappointed in, to overshadow a lot of good performances. And I think there's going to be a lot of good that we take from the game, and there's also going to be some real concrete learning lessons that we are going to be able to grow from when we, after we kind of digest it and move on for next week.
Now, second one, how difficult has it become for you now when you see Bauer playing such 2 great games, scoring goals on both games, and then Andy was doing such a good job, still doing it. What goes to your mind when you see those 2 guys kind of fighting for the same position?
First and foremost, what goes through my mind is this is great. This is what we want. This is the roster that we're building. This is the depth that we're looking for. This is a strong, guys can step in and guys can, perform. So that's great. Next is going to be hard decisions, and that's why, but we don't shy away from those things, and that's why we have a competitive environment. You earn, the team, you earn your position on the field, and for us, I think it's great that we're in week 6 and we have a lot of guys making good contributions. It's going to pay dividends for the whole group as we move through this season.
BJ, in the first half, there were a lot of, dummy passes where players would let the ball roll between their feet and then make some feint moves here and there. You think, the first couple of games where your side's winning games, it's kind of built too much of a confidence where this game kind of humbled them in a roundabout way? Or they kind of gotten away from the basics?
No, I'd love to see the personality of the players out there. Also, I think, we were playing basically 4v4 at the top of, in the top. So from a tactical standpoint, I thought there was moments early in the first half that we were playing in behind. I thought Hani had a couple moments that we were able to, dangerous, and even if we don't come off on them, then we're able to move our lines up. And then when you're sort of, I would say, coming down into the ball and guys are with pressure on their back, I think it's, you can see the connection. And I like it because you see guys that are thinking a step ahead, thinking a pass ahead, and you have support right underneath of them. And sometimes you kind of have to use a little bit of a dynamic movement between 2 players to to break down what I would call, a really good defense by Cincinnati.
Following up with that, Ahmed Qasim just seems very comfortable on the ball when you talk about just stylistically. What is it about just him and this system for him to kind of express that?
Yeah, I think we want all our players to be comfortable on the ball, and that's part of the profile of guys that we're looking for. So, yeah, I think he's comfortable under pressure. And he attracts players to him. It opens up space for other guys, but at the same time, you see Alex Mule coming in the pocket, being able to turn. You have Eddie Tagsith, guys that are all comfortable with pressure on them, and that for us is a way to attract the opponent and disorganize them, and try to exploit spaces that we're able to open up. Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think it's a disappointing result for us. We always want to win at home. I think we were the better team tonight. Created a majority of the opportunities, but we just didn't capitalize. So I'm still really pleased with the effort that we put in. Maybe we could have picked it up a little bit better, but we're 6 games into the season right now. I think we're coming together really well. We're going to stick together. We're going to get back into training tomorrow. The guys who didn't really play much tonight will go out there tomorrow, have a good session, have Monday off, and then prepare for our next match against Charlotte. So I'm really interested to see how we're going to respond, and I think we have the group to do it. Regarding my 400th regular season appearance, I'm grateful to a lot of people. I think that's the kind of like a longevity, so coaches and teammates and, different organizations. But this one, I love being here. My family loves being here. And, first and foremost, I'm grateful to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, giving me the strength and the ability to do this. And ultimately, I'm trying to bring him glory, and also, bring, my family that always supports me. Just try to reciprocate that love by going out there. And if it's 1 minute I'm going to play 90 minutes, I'm always going to give it my all. So hopefully I got a bunch more games in me.
Thanks so much, Teal.
Yeah.
Start with Teal, you obviously 400 games. You've been around MLS a while, and at this point Nashville a while. I'm kind of curious. I think this is the first time we've chatted with you this season.
Yeah.
What have you kind of made of the changes that you've seen in the club this winter under BJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest change for me is his mentality, his mindset. I mean, just the other day we were talking about it doesn't matter if we're playing at home or away, we want to win the game. And that might be a little thing to hear, but as players, that should be our goal. Every game is wanting to get 3 points. We're not going to try to just see games out or anything like that. We're going to try to, have that killer instinct. The way he's brought the group together is really important. Being around for a while now, the good teams and the great teams, you see they gel. A lot of the stuff that maybe fans might not see, reporters might not see, is the work that goes in when we're at training or when we get together as a group. I think that really brings a team together, and we have a squad that's like that cares for each other on and off the field. And I think the tactics kind of speak for themselves. I think we're, a little bit more progressive in how we play. We got each other's backs. We look a little bit more fluid in the attack. So still growing 6 games into this season. It's a long one, but I'm just really pleased with how it's gone with, BJ and John and Danny and Mike. It's been a great coaching staff.
And then obviously losing games is never ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Losing at home, I think you can maybe argue that this was as tight margins as you'd see in a loss. When you kind of look back at this, I know it just happened, but do you take anything from the chances that you guys created? Is that better than if you had lost and not created?
Yeah, I mean, it might seem a little bit better because we created some, and maybe the expected goals will be X amount. But I think we'll be a little bit disappointed with this one because it's it's a little bit of a rivalry, especially for us and for our fans. And more than that, I feel like we were the better team. All credit to Cincinnati. They came, they had a game plan, and they got all 3 points. So I think we're just disappointed whenever we lose. And I think in the locker room, the feeling is, hey, we'll get back to it, but this one stings a little bit.
Teal, what was it like seeing Brian Anunga for Cincinnati on the other sideline tonight?
Yeah, he's one of the toughest players that I see in the locker room, that I've been able to play with before. So I'm excited for him that he's with a team like Cincinnati, and I think he helps that team out a lot. So it was great seeing him.
And for you had a chance right after you came in. You had that
Yeah.
header from Sam that just went right over the bar. How do you go from just being on the sideline, warming up, to coming in the game and having that kind of a chance to maybe tie the game?
Yeah, I mean, starting or coming off the bench, I mean, it's two different kind of mindsets. You're always just ready. You never know when your name's going to be called, and it might be, a cliche thing, but you just always got to be prepared. So you could, I was over there like a bunch of the guys. We were warming up for, maybe a good 35 minutes. So you just never know when your time's going to come. You just try to make the most when you get those chances or opportunities or whatever, if it's a tackle, if it's a shot on goal, whatever it is. So I always just try to stay as engaged as possible, watching the game unfold and seeing ways I can maybe, put my touch on it when I get on the field.
Teal, you're a veteran player. You've been in this role with Nashville specifically for a few years now. You have a lot younger squad this year. After a loss like this, what are you telling them? Are you speaking to them? Or what are sort of the advice you give them?
Yeah, I think it depends on which player it is. Some guys, you want to give them a little breathing room. Other guys, you can go up, put your arm around. But I think it's just sticking together. There's so many ups and downs in the season, and we can't just put our heads down now. After, obviously we're going to have to learn from this game and what things went well, what things didn't go well. Obviously the result didn't go well, but like what other things inside of the game and inside of the match and little moments could we improve on? But I think once we get back together, I'm always going to try to be lighthearted. I'm going to motivate guys. I'm going to try to pump guys up, and I'll be there available if guys, need someone to talk to. So right now it's keeping our spirits up. If, I didn't want us getting too excited when, we had a little streak there, and I don't want us to get too low now after suffering a loss. We got to get on with it because, Charlotte's a good team. We got to prepare for them.
And you've always been a flexible player in terms of position. With this sort of formation that you guys have been playing the beginning of the season, how do you like it, and how do you see your role within it?
Yeah, I mean, I see myself being a forward. It's kind of a different type of formation where the forwards stay a little bit further apart. So that's just a different part of my game where at times I would be a winger. Sometimes I'd be, hold-up center forward. So wherever BJ and the rest of the coaching staff see me, I'm going to try to impact it, like I say, and just be ready whenever that moment is to try to help out. And I think everybody on the team does that. Everybody this year has been incredible, especially new guys that have come and just bought right into the culture, and I think that's super important. And it might sound like we're stressing that so much, but it's one of the most important things as a group is being able to have guys be cohesive enough when things aren't going well. How are we going to respond now?
BJ, after 400 games, many coaches, many systems, many teams, you're probably more qualified than many guys to answer this. What makes a player like you buy into a system from another coach like BJ?
Yeah, the big thing for me is always trust. Getting the understanding and trusting that they have a philosophy and they want us to play a certain way. Because a lot of times you can have new coaches, you could have new players, but if the trust isn't there, and if the guys aren't bought in, then it's not really going to work out. For me, BJ came in from the get-go, and he's treating everybody the same way. He knows how to motivate guys, and he knows how to keep us even-keeled. And I think that's something as a player, coaches want players who are consistent, and I think as players we want coaches who are consistent, and that's what BJ and the rest of the coaching staff are. They're always, no matter if we're doing well or not, they're always going to give it to us straight, and that's what we need, and that's what we ask for as players.
Now, going back to the game tonight, you said that you thought that the team was the best, Nashville was the best team out there tonight. What key points, perhaps, you might say why the victory got away?
I think we didn't capitalize on our chances. I think maybe there were some lulls, a little bit in the first half. It's an amazing goal by Evander on his free kick goal. So sometimes you got to put your hand up and say, okay, we give you that. But I still think there was moments throughout the second half in particular that we were just either the cross was a little too far in front of our player, maybe the shot was a little too wide, or maybe we took too many touches. All these little things that we could be happy that we're getting in those moments, but we have to have that killer instinct.
Teal, with your experience in the MLS and getting to 400 appearances, What is, I guess, one thing that you've had consistent your whole career that's kind of like a pregame ritual or something that you do?
Yeah.
Is there something that sticks out for you there?
I mean, I'm always listening to gospel on my way to the stadium. You know, I try to worship him and get my head in the right space. But I don't have too many routines and rituals. You know, I always text my wife whenever I get to the stadium, home or away. Just thank her for all she does with our 3 beautiful kids. You know, those kids aren't easy, and what she has to do is a lot harder than what I got to do. I get to kick a ball around, you know. But yeah, nothing too crazy, but always just trying to give him praise. Yeah. Good. Yeah, thank you guys.